America, a nation that betrayed its own citizens to fund Israel and endless wars. The United States government has turned its back on its people. While Americans face rampant poverty, homelessness, staggering student loan debt, a soaring cost of living, a housing bubble on the verge of collapse, crumbling infrastructure, runaway fentanyl abuse, rising crime, mass unemployment, stagnant wages, racial tensions, obscene wealth disparity, and a healthcare system that bankrupts families, billions of dollars are siphoned from public funds every year and sent to Israel. This so called ally receives America's endless unconditional support, ensuring that Israeli citizens lead better lives than the very Americans footing the bill. Let's call this what it is: the systematic betrayal of the American people. Israelis enjoy universal health care, subsidized education, and a standard of living funded by US aid, while millions of Americans sleep on the streets, unable to afford rent, health care, or even basic necessities. Americans have become second class citizens in their own country, while Israelis benefit from US largesse, living in relative comfort and security. Why should American firefighters in California have to see their department's budget gutted? Money that could save lives in wildfire ravaged communities, only for that money to fund bombs dropped on Gaza. This isn't just bad policy, it's a moral outrage. America's blank check to Israel has emboldened it to act with impunity. The Israeli government's illegal settlement expansions, violent crackdowns on Palestinians, and flagrant disregard for international law continue unchecked because they know the US will always back them up. Instead of acting as a force for peace, America's support has made Israel impossibly belligerent, fueling a cycle of violence and destabilization in the Middle East. Redirecting even a fraction of these funds to education, affordable housing, or healthcare in America could transform millions of lives. But why would the US government care about its own people when there are bombs to buy and wars to fund? Let's not forget the broader picture. America's endless wars are not about defending freedom or democracy. They're about enriching the military industrial complex, which rakes in literal trillions while hardworking Americans struggle to make ends meet. These wars are fueled by lies, greed, and the insatiable hunger of the defense contractors. All the while, the blood of innocents stains America's hands. The result? A nation that has become a villain on the global stage, spreading misery and instability across the world. The US has over 750 military bases in 80 countries, a grotesque display of imperial overreach that leaves devastation in its wake. Refugee crisis, shattered nations, and broken lives are the legacy of America's disastrous foreign policy. Domestically, the cost of this endless war making is undeniable. America's infrastructure is crumbling, bridges collapse, roads are impassable, and water systems are poisoned. Schools lack funding, leaving students with outdated textbooks and overburdened teachers. Meanwhile, billion-dollar aid packages to Israel flow through Congress without so much as a pause, ensuring that a foreign nation's citizens can enjoy state-of-the-art infrastructure and a high standard of living. This betrayal is an insult to American workers. They toil harder every year, only to see their tax dollars enrich the top 1% and fund atrocities overseas. America's leaders don't represent the people. They represent corporations, lobbyists, and foreign interests. And for what? To ensure Israel's dominance in the Middle East? To perpetuate endless wars that destabilize entire regions? This isn't leadership, it's treachery. If the US truly wants to regain its standing in the world stage and heal the deep wounds within its borders, it's time to reassess its priorities. Imagine if the billions sent to Israel each year were invested in affordable healthcare, debt free college education, or infrastructure renewal. Imagine if America stopped funding wars and started funding peace, justice, and prosperity. Such a shift wouldn't just help Americans, it might also compel Israel to behave more reasonably, knowing it can no longer depend on endless US support. America must decide: will it continue to sacrifice its own citizens on the altar of Zionist interests and corporate greed, or will it finally put its people first? The answer will determine whether this nation can reclaim its dignity or doom itself to further decline.